So Brian Schottenheimer just made his first hire to his coaching staff, and that is Matt Eberflus stepping in as the defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I know a lot of people are piling on Brian Schottenheimer and the Cowboys in general, and I'm included. I made a vid on the hire as a whole, and I don't really think it's a great one, clearly. If you think it's a good hire, I don't know what you're drinking, injecting, like, seriously. And, like, even if you are, like, a super optimistic person, you have to admit that you are playing a devil's advocate. Like, come on. It's a terrible hire, but with that being said, I think this Matt Eberflus is actually a pretty good hire because I really think it's critical for first-time head coaches to have coordinators that have prior head coaching experience. I really feel like Matt Eberflus can kind of help Schottenheimer in some ways. I know he wasn't a great head coach, but still, he's done the job before, and I feel like he could at least share some of his experiences with Brian Schottenheimer. So, from that perspective, I like it. And Eberflus as a whole, when he was with the Bears, the defenses he put together were pretty good. Top 10 units in all of his years, I'm pretty sure. And before that, he was the Colts defensive coordinator. Did a solid job there as well. Of course, that's why he got the Bears job. So, as a defensive-minded guy in the NFL, I feel like Eberflus is fine. As a head coach, not the best, but as a defensive coordinator, I think he's good. So, fair play to Brian Schottenheimer. I think it's a good move. If you agree with me, let me know. If you disagree with me, curious to see who you would have rather the Cowboys have hired. Let me know. Now, this upcoming year for the Dallas Cowboys, I do expect their defense to be better than it was a year ago with Zimmer. I just feel like Eberflus is a better defensive-minded head coach at this point in his career. Mike Zimmer once was a great defensive coordinator with the Bengals, but he's definitely at the end of his coaching career, and he's actually contemplating whether or not he wants to retire. And I just feel like Eberflus is more in tune with the way the game is played today. And that's the thing about the NFL, man. Every year the game changes. Every year there's a new set of rules. So, Mike Zimmer had a really good run in the mid-2010s, but I do think it's an upgrade from Eberflus from Zimmer. So I do expect the Cowboys defense to be improved from 2024. One of the things that Brian Schottenheimer and Jerry Jones touched on in the introduction press conference is that they will clearly address the running back position in this upcoming offseason. And I totally expect them to draft a running back early on in the 2025 draft. There are a lot of intriguing names to keep an eye on for sure, and there will be plenty of time to go over all that in the upcoming months, because from February until the draft, that's all the NFL offseason is, plus free agency. So, but going forward, I think that's definitely something to keep an eye on for sure. But if the Cowboys do actually want to make the playoffs in 2025, in Brian Schottenheimer's first year as being a head coach, first of all, they need that defense to really step up. And most importantly, they need Dak Prescott to stay healthy throughout the whole season. Those 2 points are pretty obvious, but Dak Prescott is a pretty injury-prone player, so I feel like you can't really rely on him to be healthy throughout a full year. I feel like every other year he has a major injury that puts him out a significant amount of time. But in theory, if they have a great defense and Dak Prescott stays healthy, I feel like they have a pretty good shot at making the playoffs in 2025. Now, I know the NFC East is a pretty competitive division, especially with Washington and the Eagles being great this year. Expect the Eagles to obviously be at the top of the NFC in the 2025 season. I think it's going to be pretty captivating to watch Jaden in his sophomore season. Will the sophomore slump hit him like it hit CJ Stroud? We will have to find out. Cliff Kingsbury is set to return. He turned down the Saints interview for their head coaching position. So Cliff is coming back. So definitely good news if you're a Commanders fan. But that's the thing about the CJ Stroud slump as well. After CJ's first year, there was a lot of talk of Bobby being a head coach, and Bobby opted to come back. And then we all know what happened to Bobby in year 2. Terrible offense, and he ultimately got fired at the end of the year. I'm not saying that's going to happen to Cliff, but sophomore slumps are real, and, at the end of the day, Jaden is still a rookie QB, but man, if he could overcome the sophomore slump, again, it would be really, really impressive stuff to already a guy that's only been in the NFL for 1 year, so we'll have to see. And I'm also curious to see what his durability is going to be like going forward. He did suffer that rib injury in the middle of his rookie year. I'm curious to see if he'll suffer any more injuries. Clearly, he's not the thickest guy in the world. That is another thing I want to keep my eye on. I definitely hope he stays healthy. Injuries suck, and I would hate to see him suffer a serious injury. That would just be a big hit to the NFL as a whole. And then the last team in the NFC East, you have the New York Giants. That whole franchise team is a giant question mark. I don't think they're going to be competitive in 2025. Even if they draft Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward, I don't see it. I really feel like Brian Daboll and their GM Joe should have been fired after the conclusion of this past year, but I guess Mara is a big fan of them and he wanted them back, but I definitely would have canned them, and I just don't have high hopes for them for the 2025 year. So really, if you look at it from that point of view, their only definitive competition would be the Philadelphia Eagles. Again, I'm a huge Jaden Daniels fan, like a ton of people out there. He was my favorite player to watch this past year, but still kind of unknown territory. Still a very, very young player. We'll have to find out. I'm sure he'll do fine. I'm sure he'll keep up his trajectory, but history tends to repeat itself from time to time. So let me know if you think the Cowboys could potentially make the playoffs in the 2025 season. And do you agree with my assessment on the NFC East? Let me know in the comments below. If you made this far, please subscribe and like the vid. It'd help out your boy a ton. That's all I got for right now. Peace.
See a lot of smiling faces, don't we, on the sideline? The coach is happy, and of course the quarterback, he's the happiest guy of all because he loves his tight end target. Jim, here in the fourth quarter, when you're down, what you want to do is just keep that football moving. That time it's a short throw, he gets a completion. Good job.
Second down and 5. And it's just thrown away. Looking at third down. From the gun. Passes target. Gains 11.
The Jets, good job that time moving the chains, picking up that first down. And Jim, of course, there's no time to panic in a situation like this. I think they know that. It's in the second half. You're down just a few points. Just keep looking for ways to get another first down, and that'll serve your team well.
To Cumberland. Touchdown, Jets. The Jets lined up. Everybody split out wide. They'll send it back to the quarterback out of the gun. The catch is made by Decker. Decker's met after a gain of 3. That little throw was good for only 3, so it's now second down and 7. The Jets come out and a bunch set. Snapping out of the gun. Brings it into his body. That's a gain of 8. That's another reception, giving him 2.
The Jets did a good job that time picking up the first down. Let's look at the situation. You're behind the second half. You keep looking to pick up those first downs, and you get enough of them. What does it do? Pretty simple. It leads to a score.
Dives down, and that'll end the play.
Good job that time by the quarterback sliding. The team, you are valuable to them throwing the football, not running. Slide before you take that hit.
The Cowboys with 2 extra defensive backs in the dime. 1st and 10. 2 hands on the football. It has